Okay. So for those of you who've been following Hard Lens Media from the beginning, or either that been paying attention to online politics or current news shows, you might be seeing a shift, a twisty twist, a turn in certain people and certain commentators, and people finally admitting that they were wrong and they either willingly played in it or saying, oh, jolly gee willikers, I got tricked. Well, tricks are for kids, my lovelies. So let's talk about the Young Turks. I know. Bear with me. There are reasons why I'm doing this. Because the political environment for the last 8 years, okay, from 2016 up until now for 2024, and of course, maybe nothing will fundamentally change, but let's look at from 2016 up until November 5th of 2024, and there was a tone, a conversation that was being had, a lifestyle, and that is, oh my goodness gracious, cretaceous, it's Donald Trump. Trump is bad, and TYT was promoting it a lot with the Trump derangement syndrome, forming resistances and Justice Democrats and saying that Trump is the reincarnation of first name Adolf, last name Hitler. A lot of people did that in corporate media, the vote blue no matter whose fear, but specifically TYT. And Anna Kasparian, I guess, has an epiphany because we've been noticing a shift in tone with Anna, most notably. And Cenk is trying to also capture on, too, with the momentum of the popular wave of, well, the Democrats just royally suck and there ain't anything you could do with it. But Anna is admitting that she is 1,000,000% guilty that Donald Trump broke my brain because Donald Trump is living rent-free in a lot of people's heads. Look, I get it. I understand what Trump means to a lot of people. I get it. But the discourse, the cancel culture, the suppression, the infighting, the destruction of the progressive movement, let's face it, it had to deal with people who were saying that Trump was breaking their brains. But the thing is, if you want your opponent to win, let them live rent-free in your head. But it's better than me just to talk about it than for me to show it to you guys. Only 50. It's just a couple of things that stand out. Because Trump breaking people's brains. Anna, take it away. But when I'm done playing this video, I'm going to ask you, the audience, a question.
I think that politics has substituted religion to some extent. People have almost like this religious zealotry toward their political beliefs. And when that happens, it's really difficult to have a conversation with someone without it immediately devolving into allegations of bad faith, of, lying, deception, all sorts of things. And so maybe that's part of it. But honestly, I didn't really notice this as an issue in America until Donald Trump was running for president and then after he got elected as president. And I am 1,000,000% guilty of honestly allowing him to kind of break my brain for a little bit, because I saw him as such a significant threat. I think that politics has substituted.
Now, okay, the video is going to be repeating itself because it's 52 seconds, but I want to ask you, the audience, a question, because I think we've all, at some point or another, were a fan of TYT, or were a member of TYT, or watched TYT until we finally got tired of the, oh no, loser Donald segments that Janky used to do a whole lot. But I want to ask you guys this, the audience. You think Anna's being sincere with this assessment? Type 1 for yes, Kit. I think, hey, listen, everybody changes. Everybody matures. Everybody grows up. And some people could say, yeah, hey, I was wrong and Trump broke her brain. Or type 2, she's seeing the shift and she wants to change the tone and get on the populist message because, let's face it, you got to get the views in this business, baby. Wonder how many 1s or 2s are going to be in chat. Is it sincere, or is this more of, oh yeah, of course, Trump broke people's brains, can't jump on the Trump derangement vote blue no matter who thing because no money be made in it. How many? 1 or 2? I'm going to let you, the good people, decide, okay? Let's, because it is important for us to remember that there was a golden opportunity which TYT could have theoretically capitalized on if they said, like, hey, look, Democrats screwed Bernie Sanders over in 2016. We've got to start building movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C. Actually start supporting citizen ballot initiatives. Let's do force the vote instead of being cucks and carrying water for the Democrats. They could have. They should have, but that Katzenberg cash, it knows how it can make a person twerk on the stage. You know, $20 million. That 20 mil. It's, cold hard cash for a lot of good people. There you go. So, without further ado, I'm very curious to see the feedback from the people, And hold on, I want to hear this from Dan Burr. Yeah, I stopped watching TYT about a minute after Jimmy left. I stopped around the time I was done volunteering with Wolfpack. And perhaps that's, no, I won't make it a story for another day. The reason why I stopped being a volunteer for Wolfpack was because when TYT was going bad for Hillary Clinton in 2016, again, getting money out of politics, I believe in it. And by supporting a candidate who is the avatar of money in politics, we were breaking every single principle of Wolfpack, and I just couldn't do it. That's when I stopped with TYT. Unfortunately, yes. But nonetheless, I think it's important for us to have a further discussion about it because now, hold on. I think Anna's realizing that, yes, Trump people can be like regular people too. Now, look, I've run my fair share of zealotry. And unfortunately, I do think early on in the previous video that Anna is correct, that people are using politics as a form of religion, which is something I encourage you, my audience, not to do. And I've seen zealots. I've seen diehard Trump supporters that are worshiping Trump like the next messiah, which people don't do that. Then I've seen my fair share of the vote blue no matter who sycophants. And we've seen these people melt down on TikTok. Yeah. And yes, you see the same kind of zealotry in socialist or communist groups, libertarians, and yes, even the Green Party. But I want to be clear with everybody here. Politics should not be your religion. Politics should not be your end-all, be-all thing. And politics shouldn't separate families. You want to be a dense idiot? Leave your family over politics. That's stupid of the highest order. And it's a sickness of the highest order. See, I can't do the Abba and preach thing, I can't do it. Can't do it. But it is a sickness if you want to leave your family. Because here's the thing. I've run into a lot of good liberals. Yes, I can have a conversation with them. Of course, they are grinding their teeth when I'm talking to them about current events. And I've run into my fair share of Trump supporters, especially Trump supporters who even helped out Hard Lens Media, retweeting us out saying, hey, they shouldn't be censored or demonetized or terminated, on that stuff. Yeah, I've run into good people because people are different. People are unique. And I'm proud of this audience that we've built here. So here's where Anna's having a little bit of an epiphany about, hey, not all Trump people are foaming maniacs.
And so I'm like, trying to get his bicycle like up the stairs. And all of a sudden, this man stops me.
An evil, awful man. No, she doesn't know. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. I'm sorry.
Name's Jeff. And he's like, hey, let me help you out with that. And he starts helping me out. He stopped everything he was doing to help me out. And then Jeff and I became very close. One of my neighbors who I really like, he was my favorite person in the entire building. And years go by. One day we're in an HOA meeting, homeowners association, and one of the people living in the building said something about Trump that was negative. I don't remember what it is. And Jeff whispers in my ear, oh, she's going to start trashing Trump. I'm out of here. And it hit me that.
By the way, I want to give a huge shout out to Gray Walker, joined third party, Semper Fidelis Marine. If she needs to eat some serious humble pie, as she was one of the top cheerleaders of what she now decries. Sorry, Sorry, I didn't have 2 cups of coffee, so sometimes I get stupid. But, hey, Gray Walker, I'm not going to argue with you, man. If you hit the nail on the head, you hit the nail on the head, buddy. We were all there. We all saw it. We've all seen it. We're not blind to it. Well said. Hey, mandatory thumbs up for Gray Rocker. Join third party, as we should all the time, every time.
That he's a Trump supporter. We had never talked about politics before. And I'm like, so I got to know Jeff before I knew what his
Eric, don't be a heretic. Trust in the God Emperor.
Politics were. Incredibly kind guy. He helps everyone in this building with anything they might need. And so that woke me up to, wait a minute, not all Trump supporters are like dangerous, evil individuals. And yes, it was stupid that I thought that to begin with. Like, I'm embarrassed admitting that, but it's just how I believed. And
Oh, yes. And it left a mark on the political landscape, both in real life and online.
That kind of was one of the moments where it's like a light bulb went off and something was telling me you need to scratch beneath the surface a little more because you don't have a realistic view of what's going on here.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And one more, just one more for the people in the back. All right. Because I know people saying, Kit, make it stop, make it stop. But here's also something else that's going to probably trigger a lot of people, especially when the leftist mafia, I don't know if you heard of them, that's not too important. When they kind of went on the warpath against Anna when, she didn't like being called the birthing person. Again, I don't know what's going to happen with the future of TYT or this shift in tone because a lot of larger media outlets, especially conservative leaning, have been noticing that Anna's been shifting her speak, her talk. Maybe you, my audience, all of you who are deliciously brutal, are saying, well, maybe TYT is getting a clue that no one likes them or respect them. Because after all, so many people had a collective meltdown. And I want to give a huge shout out to my co-host, my special guest co-host, Nick Thompson, on not yesterday, but Friday's show, in which we were talking about liberal meltdowns, most notably one David Packerman, who I think now, for case point, probably is the one person who had a serious meltdown. Now Kyle, of course, is being a child, but we're asking, hey, where are all my paid subscribers going? I think TYT is kind of getting the hint that, hey, the Democrats suck, and you larger, quote unquote, leftist progressive media outlets have been carrying water for them, and the Democrats aren't delivering because they're not going to listen, nor will they ever take heed of anything that we want. So Anna's talking about how Trump's immigration policy, that she was wrong about Trump's immigration policies. Don't worry, it's only a few short seconds, but I just want to play it for you, the people.
And certain reversals of Trump era immigration policies, which at the time I didn't give Trump credit for because he wasn't really applauded for it. And I didn't realize that, the Remain in Mexico policy was actually very successful. And Biden reversing it did lead to the crisis at the border that ended up being a political liability that backed him up into a corner. And suddenly he's hitting up Republicans in the Senate, asking them to write legislation that Republicans would like. So there are some flaws on the left for sure. And I think it's important to be real about those flaws and certain reversals.
So, what can we take from this? Okay. It is a chance to be relevant again, perhaps. One can make that argument. Another can be, all right, hey, look, maybe people are growing up because a lot of people, especially the larger media outlets, corporate media, that vote blue no matter whose fear, the Democrats as a whole, have eaten humble pie. Not only did Trump win on November 5th, but the Republicans took over the Senate and House. Now, look, you know how I feel about the two-party system. Democrats and Republican politicians, they're both one and the same. There's only a select few that don't have APAC babysitters, but they are few and far between. The whole system is inherently corrupt. But it's important to separate the politicians from the voters. And look, I am ever hopeful for the day when more Americans embrace the idea of citizen ballot initiatives, fighting to make their state citizen ballot initiatives, embracing and supporting third parties. But you got to remember that people are people. And it's important not to judge everyone. Everyone's complicated. Everyone has their own reasons, rhythms, and whys they vote or participate in the electoral process, however which way they want. But when you are part of a larger platform, and let's face it, let's be clear, TYT was the front and center, the tip of the spear at one point. You had an opportunity that was pure gold, lightning in the bottle, to really change things, to be a shift in power, to turn the whole system upside down, because the internet is a very powerful and useful tool. But when you start taking that money from Democrat lobbyists and corporate interests, when you get that sweet Katzenberg cash, and then also raise off the backs of your audience $2 million to do a Four Horsemen apocalypse investigative journalist team. That's Jank's own words, Four Horsemen. It was Nomiki, I think Michael, I'm forgetting the last name of that guy now, it's skipping me. You had Sean King and, of course, Jordan Sheridan. And what happened to that $2 million in that Four Horsemen team? Poof, fart in the wind, disappeared. And then we have people like Anna, who then go after Republican voters or conservative people, or either that maybe independents that voted for Trump, or going after third parties and independents, and either that also dismissing forced to vote. You know, you create a bad taste. And when you break apart coalitions, when you are part of that movement to really protect the Democrats, be that shield wall, carry water for them, people will walk away and leave. November 5th was a huge eye-opening moment. And I remember covering November 5th. It was just a few weeks ago. I had a great team, a great panel. Everybody was there, and we were all saying the same thing. And pretty much the audience was on point there too, that the Democrats were going to get a gut check should Trump win. And this is a gut check and awakening. People are not going to be falling for the same propaganda. And this is one thing I encourage you, my audience, to do as well. Look at other sources and information. It is important for us to become well-rounded, well-educated individuals. And yes, even hearing from perspectives that you may not like, but it's always important to hear another side, another point. Now, here's where my remaining heartstrings plung together and sing in unison. Maybe Anna, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Anna is learning a lesson here. Maybe so. I'm going to be a nice guy for once. Just a nice guy. But then I'm going to be straight back to evil kid. Perfect. But maybe this is a lesson. Like, oh, hey, I had Trump derangement syndrome and I'm getting help now. That's okay. Fine. I can understand it. I used to think that Bernie was on the level. I have to carry that L for the rest of my life. So let's try and observe and see how people react and handle things, because right now 2025 is going to be a little bit of a quiet period. But then we go into 2026, and I made a prediction that the Democrats are going to be running on impeaching Trump, or either that something close to the equivalent of Trump going behind bars. The walls are closing in. We'll see what happens. We'll see how people react and embrace things, because right now the Democrats are a dying brand. Corporate media is going under. The vote blue, no matter who, infrastructure has collapsed. There's a new energy moving around. And I think now's the time where people start waking up and realizing who's been speaking the truth and who's been giving people bullshit. As always, keep your heads on a swivel and question everything, as you should all the time, every time.
Calling every foe synthetic leftist and progressive lover. Summoning the simps of all the squad adjacent opportunist two-faced cop suckers. Paging every democratic yes man in possession of a smoother brain than those who hide behind Biden's stutter. Welcome to the super edgy independent news you can trust when we say we don't sell our standards out like all the others. Trust us when we tell you that we're looking out for working class America, holding all the powerful accountable. Trust us when we tell you that a host of vital truths are being covered, when honestly the truth is being smothered by a couple disingenuous hacks sent to act in bad faith by Big Brother, who start smearing every journalist who bears the credibility they covet from their gilded fucking neoliberal centerpiece. Air out all their jealousy and spite like it might yield them some validity, or paint a coat of pity over all of their acidity. But they've been busy cozied up to every war pig living between here and the infinity. Albright, Biden, Obama, God, that's gotta take the fucking trophy for unholiest of trinities. So I hope you didn't come to witness anything resembling integrity. That's been long abandoned. Now we see integrity as often as Atlantis. Now they only toe the line and read what they've been handed. Safe to say if Cenk sunk any lower, he'd be deeper than the Marianas. TYT will tell you how opinions aren't the facts unless they're Cenk Serranas. Since they chose to make a living out of licking boots and shilling, you can bet they make a killing. TYT is proud to say they traded all their spines away to empty out the till and tell themselves it's decent work and it's an honest tilling. Well, me, I see they found a way to rape the willing. Me, I read between the lines, and in the script I see the signs that those who fund their message down to every filthy dime would gladly bleed a human sea if it prevents a drop of oil spilling. And yet somehow they portray themselves the heart of the progressive movement. The loudest voices calling for some unity with those who built careers around destroying unions. Which might be true, since unity is something truly useless and symbolic, like a stale communion. Tasteless as the times they tried to fight back smiles smearing Julian. And I hope Cenk and Anna listen up and listen well. You will never be a fraction of the journalist Assange has been, even from his cell. All the filth you spread around, you spread it on yourself. That's my time. Fuck you twice. See you both in hell.